Okay, here we go. Immersion update. We're getting this out. This is my 18th to 19 month Spanish immersion update. Great stuff. Great intro. Okay, cool. So the main update since my last video would have to be I finding Man's channel. I think I may have touched it on my last video. I'm not going to watch it again. I don't want to hear my voice. But I basically changed my immersion style to focus a lot more on output rather than input. So what that meant is I started to use HelloTalk a little bit more, maybe around February, March time, which was great. I started doing that a little bit. Just a quick comment on it. Everyone, well, I didn't have videos. I would do voice notes and just text chatting. My texting was horrible, as you can imagine. Even though Spanish is a phonetic language, yeah, it was pretty bad. But my voice notes, every person I spoke to was really impressed by my level, and I thought that was really surprising because I thought my accent was terrible. Well, I didn't think it was terrible, but I didn't think it was great either. So that's just a little point for anyone to keep in mind. But the bad side is, I think I started white noising my immersion because I was focusing a lot on podcasts, and podcasts are great when you're multitasking, but when you're watching two or three people just chatting, um, it's not the most engaging. So I think I started white noising it, which led to dun dun dun. I stopped tracking. Oh, my computer's frozen. Yeah, so I just stopped tracking. I just don't know. I think everyone kind of gets to this stage with your language learning. I think I'd hit this kind of taxi mode as well, kind of like in the beginning stages where you just want to immerse as much as possible. You want to build as a large vocab as possible. And then I was kind of, oh, 1 second. All right, that's my flatmate. Hopefully this is kept going because I'm not recording this again. But yeah, I stopped tracking because I felt like I was in taxi mode where I could still make progress if I just focused on immersion and outputting. Sounds great in theory, but for me, it just meant that I stopped tracking and then I also just stopped doing Anki. I just stopped immersing overall. And I think it's pretty healthy to do that. I had 2 or 3 weeks where I just wasn't doing any Spanish at all, but it came at the worst time because I actually had a Spanish trip during that period. And let me recommend this. Anyone, if you're thinking about going to the country of your target language, I highly recommend going because for me personally, that just reignited the motivation for me. Like I've come back. I even want to move to Spain at this point, but I'll go on a little bit later. But anyway, back to where I was going. Output. So did a lot of Hello Talk tandem stuff. Wasn't great for me. I'm an extroverted person, but just talking to random people all day, it's hard to really invest the time in it. Um, but more recently, luckily, my company's got a language learning, well, not language learning, but learning and development budget, and I was able to get like $1,000 to put onto italki credits. At the moment, I have 5 to 6 lessons a week. This has only been happening for 2 weeks, so I can't really tell you how it's progressing. I definitely feel a lot more comfortable, I can say. But I want to maintain this up to December because one of my main goals at the moment is to be comfortable speaking Spanish in November. But yeah, every person I've spoken to, so all my talkie teachers can't believe I've been learning for 2 years. Doesn't mean I don't make mistakes. I make loads of mistakes. I had a conversation today talking about the education system in Spain and a whole load of topics, but then I tripped up on the conjugation of to have, like one of the most basic ones. And, these things are natural. I don't overthink them anymore. It's part of the language learning process. People learn languages for 6, 7 years and they can't understand like a basic TV show. So you just take it in your stride, really. But yeah, what else? What else? What else? What else? Trip to Spain, loved it. Justified all the work I've been doing. Highly recommend anyone to do it, especially if you're learning a language, you subconsciously pick up so much about the culture and whatnot. So just going there and seeing the lifestyle and people and some of the references you pick up from TV shows, yeah, highly, highly recommend it. And I felt a lot more invested in it because I met my crosstalk partner in person, who's a friend of a colleague of mine. We all went out together, and she said a really interesting comment. I know, well, she thinks I know more words in Spanish than she does in English, and she'd been learning English since she's like 12. And admittedly, her English isn't fantastic, but she's writing a PhD in English, so it's all right. She just doesn't have that fluidity when speaking. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. Anki kind of does work. What else? Current focus, healthy immersion habit. So yeah, I am a language learner during COVID. I'm used to having the freedom of immersing when I want to. If I wanted to go hardcore mode on Anki, I could have, but I didn't. Now I'm learning how to balance like a full-time job, going into the office, language learning, relationships, going to the gym, etc., etc. So my main goal, because I want to maintain this hobby until I do the C1 in 2024. So I'm not going too hardcore any mode, hardcore anymore. I'm just really just enjoying it now, like following my interests entirely. I am mining a lot of words. You can see my mining sheet here. Yeah, just kind of going with the flow. And yes, I don't really have a focus on accents anymore because it's not really important. People say so. I had a lesson last week where the teacher, it was the first lesson, she couldn't tell where I was from. Doesn't mean I sounded like a native because I definitely didn't, but I didn't have like a typical gringo accent, which is fantastic. And yeah, I'd reached the goal of taxi mode where I can genuinely just live in the language. If I wanted to, I think I could survive in Spain. Now my goal now is to feel comfortable speaking Spanish because when I went to Madrid, I didn't actually speak a lot of Spanish, even though I understood everything. I guess it's different when you're with friends. You just want to keep up the conversation, so I just spoke in English. But I'm going again next month. But when I go in November, I definitely want to just feel comfortable in the language, especially because I would have put 2 years into Spanish by that point. So yeah, that's the goal. Take the C1 in 2024, and maybe learn French or Italian afterwards. Oh yeah, sorry. Most importantly, comprehension. Where's my level now? So I know last time I said I had a level five. I definitely think I had a level four, maybe a 4.5 at good times. I would say now I'm still not a level. It's really hard to judge these. They're so subjective, but there are very few topics where I feel thrown off. So I'm definitely still between a four and a five. I'm not a comfortable five yet. Yeah, it really does depend. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I think yeah, I don't want to throw numbers out there, but yeah, I'm still not a complete level five yet. Anyway, yeah, so my ability to output. So with my teachers, I have hour-long classes speaking about a variety of topics, and I still do make mistakes. Obviously, my vocab isn't perfect, but because I always immerse in slice of life content, it is I'm relatively all right. Like I'm nothing really throws me off. I'm able to explain something if I can't say it in Spanish. I can just use other words. And a couple of comments I've received is because I've immersed in native Spanish TV shows. A lot of people say that my Spanish feels, I don't know, either the word choices I use, I don't sound very formal. I don't sound like other students. I don't want to say I do not sound native, but yeah, they're always. I'm trying to not blow my head up a bit, but I always get really good comments, and I think everyone should really try and focus on native, real life media, whatever you want to call it, in their target country as well. So yeah, I think I'm really proud of my level of output. To think early May, I went to Madrid, didn't feel comfortable speaking, and now after a couple of weeks, I've already made like leaps and strides. So yeah, keep immersing. What else? Comments. So yeah, unfortunately, I did develop tinnitus. Now I did listen to a lot of like heavy bass music, go out a lot when I was younger. But there's no way of denying the fact that I'd spent 1,200 hours. Ooh, wait, here's the other graph. Yeah, I'd spent 1,200 hours with my AirPods in, didn't really have an impact on it. And then just one day in February, I just woke up and had tinnitus. There's not really much else you can do about it. So um, just learning to live with it. Just wanted to raise awareness because if you're going to get fluent, it's going to require 3,000 hours, 4,000 hours. And yeah, you just got to stay healthy. And what else? Yeah, it's very easy. You forget how much progress you make because even now I'm saying all these things, but if you compare yourself to other learners who do like grammar books and etc., they can be learning languages for years and not be able to understand a single podcast or a TV show. But if you immerse, you can't even compare the two. So yeah, if you feel like you're not making progress, I can assure you, you definitely am. Even if you did like 30 minutes or an hour a day in a Romance language, I think you can get very far. And I think you need to stop comparing yourself to other people that go real hardcore mode and shut off other areas of their life, because again, that's not healthy, and you really do have the rest of your life to learn the language as well. So yeah, take it easy. I'm not sure what I should have discussed, but I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on, potentially leave a comment on times you've visited your target language, your country of your target language, how that went. If your thoughts on output has changed, because I think it has in the Immersion community now. People seem to be a lot more open to it. But yeah, best of luck. Ask me anything in the comments and I'll respond.